Today is September 22nd, 2022, and the Lunch and Learn with the State Office of the Healthcare Advocate will begin shortly. Please stand by. Hello. Thank you for joining us for another Lunch and Learn presentation. So the summer is nearly wound down and autumn will be here soon. And along with autumn comes insurance open enrollment season, meaning open enrollment for Medicare and open enrollment for many of the health plans seen around the state. OHA is going to be doing a Lunch and Learn presentation on open enrollments in November. And as we've been thinking about content for open enrollment, I began to realize that I received more questions about other types of enrollment than open enrollment. Specifically, I get questions from parents about what they should do when their child is about to be dropped from their health insurance, and questions about insurance options for children who have disability. So I'm Jill Hall. I'm nurse consultant at OHA, and today's presentation is an attempt to get answers to those types of questions. I will be reviewing parts of the healthcare reform law, the state environment, and Connecticut's insurance marketplace, along with options for young adults who have special healthcare needs, how to request disability determinations, and where to apply for insurance. Now, to hone down those questions and get answers about insurance coverage for disabled adult children, let's begin with the facts that are true for all young adults, and then we'll transition into adult children who have disability. Throughout today's presentation, whenever I refer to children, I'm including children that are aged birth through 26. And if I refer to an adult child, I'm specifically talking about young adults age 18 to 26. So here are three facts. Parents have been allowed to keep their children enrolled into their health insurance for 7 additional years, ever since the full implementation of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. This is the aspect of the healthcare reform law referred to as expanded dependent coverage. Fact 2, dependent coverage ends when a child turns 26. But keep in mind that some, even though not many, some insurance policies allow the dependent coverage to remain in place through the end of the year in which the child turns 26. So it's important to find out which rule applies to your insurance. And then fact 3, when the child loses or is about to lose insurance coverage, losing it because they're either aging out or for some other reason, a loss of insurance coverage triggers what is called a special enrollment period. It's special because typically you cannot obtain insurance outside of official enrollment periods. Enrollment periods occur annually and usually at the same time each year. So again, join us in November and we're going to be talking about open enrollment at that Lunch and Learn. As of today, just note that when a 26-year-old young adult loses their parents' health insurance, it triggers a special enrollment period, and that remains open for 60 days. It might go without saying that not all families use the extended dependent coverage that's allowed by the law. After all, some 26-year-old adults are gainfully employed and they're enrolled into their own employer-sponsored health plan. But for families who do, and children who have remained on their parents' plan until the age of 26, young adults should enroll into their own health plan during the special enrollment period. And Most importantly, they should do this before their parents' coverage ends to avoid a gap in coverage. Now, in considering insurance options for young adults who are coming off of their parents' insurance, it's helpful to realize that insurance options for children are always based on age, resources, and ability. So whether your young adult has a disability or not, when they age out of the parent's insurance, they're going to have three options during the special enrollment period. So one, they can enroll into a commercial health plan, also called private insurance. Private insurance can be individually purchased or it's supplied by an employer. Option two, they can apply for Medicaid to see if they're eligible. And then lastly, they can check their eligibility for government subsidized private health insurance. Help with the cost of insurance is available because of the PPAC. So young adults who have limited resources may be eligible for free or subsidized health insurance. And in Connecticut, it's easy to find out if you're a person eligible for free or subsidized health insurance. The place to look and find out is called the Insurance Exchange. It's also called the Insurance Marketplace. The concept of the insurance marketplace was established by the healthcare reform law. After all, one of the goals of the PPACA was to get uninsured individuals insured and make it affordable. So each state designed its own insurance exchange for the purpose of assessing people and their need for help affording insurance. Connecticut's insurance exchange is called Access Health CT, and anyone can get assistance from Access Health CT and their certified helpers called navigators. Access Health CT has some storefronts where you can get in-person assistance, and it's really easy to find out online or over the phone if you're a person who's eligible for help with the cost of insurance. So on the screen, we have displayed Access Health CT's contact information. Access Health CT is the only place for eligibility determinations for enrollment into subsidized health plans or the state Medicaid program. All right. In cases where young adults are not eligible for Medicaid or subsidized insurance, keep in mind that they're not limited to shop only the health plans available at Access Health CT. So if you're a young adult not eligible for Medicaid and subsidized insurance, you can shop for health insurance anywhere you and your family see fit. And this is a frequently misunderstood fact. Okay, so to wrap up the truths about young adults, if you are a child turning 26 and coming off of your parents' health plan, check with Access Health CT to see if you're eligible for financial help with insurance. If you're not qualified, remember that you can shop directly with a health plan carrier or with the help of an insurance broker. And most importantly, young adults should enroll into their own health plan before they lose their parents' coverage to avoid potentially problematic gaps in coverage. So let's turn to children who have disabilities. If your child has a disability, there may be additional options to explore, but don't wait until they're 26 to explore the options. The key age when it comes to a child with a disability is 18. 18 is the age of majority in Connecticut, which means at age 18, a child's resources and expenses will be the basis of eligibility determinations. It will no longer be the household income that's considered, and that's true even if the child remains living in the household. So, navigating disability benefits can be complicated. And many people seek help from disability experts when they're applying for benefits for that reason. What makes it particularly complicated is that federal and state level programs exist separate from one another, but it's not always obvious that they're separate programs, and they may have similar names, or they may have more than one name, as it's seen in Connecticut. So for the remainder of today, I'm going to review healthcare benefits based upon disability. Okay, that means I'm going to talk about the Social Security Administration for federal disability determinations and the State Department of Social Services for state disability programs, and how to apply for both. And lastly, the important questions to ask your employer to find out if they have a program that will allow you to keep your adult disabled child enrolled beyond age 26. Now, for folks today who may not know, OHA services are free, and anyone can call us for help with an insurance problem. I frequently work with families who have children with disabilities, and it's common to hear them say that they're having trouble with their commercial insurance, and they have a belief that Medicaid would be less problematic. So whenever someone tells me that they've applied for state disability, I always ask the same question, which is, has your child received a federal disability determination? And most people say no, or they think they have, but they're not sure. My point is that it's easy to struggle with navigating disability benefits if you're not aware of this important first step. So let's begin with the federal disability determination. Federal disability determinations are the responsibility of the Social Security Administration. There's two types of Social Security Administration disability programs. Both are based on financial need. One is called Supplemental Security Income, SSI. The other is Social Security Disability Income, SSDI. The main difference between the two is the age in which the qualifying disability was diagnosed, and distinctively the individual's personal work history. SSDI is a work credit disability benefit, meaning the individual had been working but became disabled due to illness or injury and can no longer work. SSDI will not be discussed further today. After all, working individuals can become disabled and apply for SSDI at any age. And today we are focused on children and young adults with disability. For young adults with disabilities diagnosed before the age of 18, the Social Security Administration SSI federal program is extremely relevant to the topic. So here's the SSA website. You can apply for SSI online. SSI benefits are based on financial need, and again, it's financed through general revenues from taxes, meaning the benefits are not based on prior work history. SSI disability benefits are payable to low-income individuals age 65 and older, and low-income children and adults of any age who are disabled or blind. SSI applications are reviewed in two distinctive ways. First, the Social Security Administration will verify if the disability is a qualifying disabling condition. Then second, it's reviewed to determine if the income and the asset test are met. Therefore, one possible outcome from a SSA disability determination could be mixed, meaning one, the individual is determined to have a qualifying disability, but then B, the individual isn't qualified for SSI payments at that point in their life because their income and asset thresholds. This suggests that SSI applications can be repeated when the individual's financial situation changes. And that's important for families to know, navigating children with disabilities. Now, applications for SSA disability determinations are called disability claims. And in most states, approved SSI disability claims means the individual is automatically eligible for federal Medicaid. This is true in Connecticut. Another area that's tricky navigating Connecticut in this topic is the topic of Medicaid. So let's talk about Medicaid. It's easier to understand Medicaid, how it works, and how to apply for it once you realize that federal Medicaid and state Medicaid are different from each other. I'm going to review both. Connecticut has adopted 3 official state Medicaid programs, but there is only one type of federal Medicaid program. So let's start with the federal Medicaid. It's called Title 19 Medicaid. Title 19 Medicaid was established by Section 19 of the Social Security Act, hence the name. And as I previously reviewed, it's the Social Security Administration responsible for federal disability determinations. So while there are individuals in Connecticut receiving SSIs, they are automatically eligible for Title 19 Medicaid. So while that sounds straightforward, it becomes confusing because of how the federal Medicaid program partners with the individual states. So the states then can administer Title 19 benefits. So the state is administering Title 19 benefits to beneficiaries of SSI in Connecticut, but Connecticut doesn't call it Medicaid. Instead, Connecticut calls all Medicaid programs we administer, they call it Husky Health. So Connecticut includes Title 19 Medicaid in the Husky Health program, even though that Title 19 Medicaid is different and has a separate application process. So as I said, Husky Health includes the Title 19 program, but it also includes 3 state Medicaid programs. The state Medicaid programs are called Husky A, Husky B, and Husky D. The Title 19 Medicaid program is called Husky C. So let's just pause there and process that. Husky C eligibility means that there was a federal determination about a person's disability, and those Medicaid dollars will be administered by the state in partnership with the Social Security Administration. That fact that it's a different program and the application processes are different is a real good example of why you will see Medicaid C listed different. For example, when you go to Access Health CT to check your Medicaid eligibility, it'll say somewhere, click here to see if you're eligible for Husky A, B, or D. Husky C will not be included because Husky C eligibility determinations are through the Social Security Administration, and Husky A, B, and D are for low-income households who have applied through Access Health CT. So those are the major differences, and that's all I have to say about Medicaid today. So let's transition to state disability programs. And at this point, you might be wondering, why have I even listed this? Because after all, it's the Social Security Administration who makes Husky C determinations, and Access Health CT checks eligibility for the other Medicaids. But I've included the Department of Social Services for two reasons. First, all Medicaid programs are administered by the state. And in Connecticut, the entity who administers Medicaid programs is the Department of Social Services. That means all individuals who are eligible for Medicaid, any type, are encouraged to set up an account with the Department of Social Services. And the account is on their Connect web-based portal. Here's a picture of the Connect website. And then the second reason is DSS is where you would apply for non-insurance types of disability benefits and for some of the state's special Medicaid programs called Medicaid waivers. There are too many types of Medicaid waivers and disability programs administered by DSS to mention in a short presentation. So for today's purposes, the takeaway about state disabilities is that most state programs will only approve disability claims for people who have already been approved for benefits at the federal level, the SSI, SSDI level via the Social Security Administration. All right, so that's another important reason to be thinking about federal disability determinations first if you have a child or a dependent with a disability. So I've shown you thus far the website for SSA, the website for Department of Social Services in Connecticut. I've shown you where to apply for SSI in Title 19, where to apply for state disability benefits, but I haven't talked at all about how disabilities are defined or what are qualifying disabilities. Nor can I, other than to say definitions of qualifying disabilities vary. This is an area parents will have to research for each type of disability benefit in which you plan to apply. For example, the federal definition of disability is different from the definition seen in Connecticut statutes. Furthermore, your employer may have their own definition of disability. In fact, they may have official disability guidelines. Which brings me to the last topic of the day and another area to explore if your child is going to be aging out of your health plan. That is the option of an employer-sponsored health insurance beyond age 26. Now, Connecticut does not mandate employers to provide post-26 coverage for disabled children, but many do. The only way to find out if that's an option for you and your child is to ask your employer and ask the health plan in which you and your family are currently enrolled. If your employer does offer coverage beyond the age of 26, it will not be automatic. There will be an application process and several rules may apply. For example, some employers, some health plans require the child to have been enrolled prior to reaching age 26. So ask your employer and the health plan if this is an option for you and your family. Be sure to obtain a copy of the health plan's definition of disability and then get guidance from them about the application process and specifically what forms of documentation the plan is going to require to confirm the child meets the definition of disability. All right, well, to review today's presentation, 3 points. First, federal disability determinations and state disability determinations are two separate and in Connecticut, Title 19 Medicaid is called Husky C. All Medicaid programs in the state are administered by the Department of Social Services, but accessing Husky A, B, and D is done via the Insurance Exchange or Access Health CT. Then there's important ages and developmental milestones we went over. So remember, resource limits and eligibility for Medicaid are based on the household income for children 0 to 18. Then upon turning age 18, Medicare determinations will be based on the child's resources. Now, and lastly, some employers offer coverage beyond the age of 26 for adult disabled children. Now, while I didn't talk about coordination of benefits today, coordination of benefits meaning the rules that apply when you have one or more health insurance policy, I still wanted to mention it briefly here because many people ask, can a person have Medicaid and commercial insurance? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. That's all I have for you today. If you would like to learn more about health insurance options for disabled children or review any of the topics covered today, give OHA a call. Furthermore, if you are currently having trouble accessing healthcare services for a disabled child, give us a call. We are standing by and we're ready to help. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and I invite you to come back again next month. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Our Lunch and Learn topic for October will be insurance coverage for breast cancer screening and how to get help from OHA if you need breast cancer treatment and it's being denied by your health plan. So on behalf of everybody at OHA, I wish you a pleasant day and thank you again for joining us. Bye-bye.